Well, good afternoon. We'll call to order this, what month is it? March meeting of the Bloomington Board of Park Commissioners. So Kim, can we have the roll call, please?
Ellen Rodkey.
Here?
Israel Herrera. Here. Jim Whitlatch.
Here.
And Kathleen Mills is absent today.
Great, thank you. So then first up, we have in our section A, the consent calendar. This is just a collection of minutes, claims, credit card refunds, and then other small partnership agreements that don't require a full vote in section C. So if everything looks good in that in the consent calendar, then we can take a motion to approve that.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Great, and then we'll take a roll call vote. Kim?
Ellen Rodkey.
Aye.
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. And then we'll move on to section B. So I think first up, we'll have Emily Buke tell us about a Bravo Award. I think I can hear you. Yeah. But we might have lost the feed.
Hello? Oh, okay, we're good. Oh, and I broke the TV. Oh, no.
Okay, all right. Yeah, she did that.
Okay, okay, that wasn't me. Good.
So if you could just sing us a song in the interim or provide some
You
energy.
can get up here and do some stand-up, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
This is true. I could talk basketball. This is true.
Oh, we could
Could.
recap that intense game last night.
We don't have enough time in the world for me to cover that. I'd be up here for an hour.
The point is they won.
Yes, and it was fun.
It was fun.
Excuse me.
There we go. All right.
All right,
Are we
all
going to
good?
carry on?
Nope, maybe not. Okay, good. All right. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Emily Buke, Community Relations Coordinator, and staff recommends Alice Leak for the March Bravo Award. Alice is a Bloomington resident with a deep love for Griffey Lake Nature Preserve. Her daughter, Patsy, shared that hiking at Griffey, especially the Meadowood Trails, is one of her dearest pleasures. Alice hikes the trails regularly and is sure to keep the trails clear and accessible for other users. If there's ever an issue she can't address on her own, she's always sure to report it to Rebecca so our operations staff can make sure that it is addressed. Her dedication to Griffey is the perfect embodiment of a Bravo Award recipient, and I can only hope to be as active as her when I'm in my 90s. And she sends her regards. She really appreciates the award, but she's little bit older and doesn't quite feel safe breaking quarantine, meeting people she doesn't know. But she says, thank you very much for the recognition, and she loves Griffey. So thank you very much.
Thanks to Alice. Yeah, we can give her a round of applause. I think all of us echo you that we all hope we'll be that active when we're in our 90s. So thanks, Emily. So then we'll move on, and we have a new staff introduction from Amy.
Good afternoon, and nice to meet you all. I'm Amy Lyonbeck. I'm the new operations coordinator for Parks and Rec. I've been in this role since February 5th, so just coming up on 2 months, and so far it's going great. I really enjoy working here. All the people are wonderful. Everyone's been very welcoming and supportive. I love parks. I am an avid park user and trail user, hiking. My kids have grown up on Bryan Park. We live nearby, and we've been there since day one. And we used to go to all the different parks in rotation so that we would not get bored with any of them. So very near and dear to my heart, and I'm just really excited to be able to serve our community through improving the park system. in this role. So nice to meet you all, and thank you.
All right, so then we will, I think maybe skip C1 for now? Okay, so we'll move into other business and we'll just delay C1 here for a short amount of time and move into C2. So I think Keto is up with an approval of resolution 2024 for the leasing and financing agreement for our golf carts.
Good afternoon, Kido from Sports Division. Staff recommend that Board approves the Resolution 2024 March to authorize the purchase of financing 75 golf carts and 2 service vehicles at Cascade Golf Course. I would like to present a few items to be approved. Number 1, a lease purchase agreement with Midwest Golf and Turf. After completing the bidding process, the City of Bloomington Parks and Recreation Department and Cascade Golf Course would like to lease 75 electronic carts, 1 range picker, 1 utility car from Midwest Golf and Turf. Although this agreement was approved at the Park Board meeting in December 2022, it was never fully executed. Number 2, a financial agreement approval with First Financial Bank. The Comptroller's Office has been working with First Financial Equipment Finance, LLC, to approve a 3-year term, 3 annual payments of $90,449.33 for this lease. Funds for this purchase are general fund from Cascade Golf Course. Number 3, the resolution provides authority to sign the first financial lease purchase agreement as long as terms listed as First Financial Bank document the board signs remain the same. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Keto. Questions? Any questions about this?
I don't think so.
Okay. We'll take-
I'll move for approval of Resolution 2024-003 for lease and financing agreement for 2024 golf carts.
Second.
All right, we'll take a roll call vote.
Ellen Rodkey,
Aye.
Israel Herrera, Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
Great, motion passes. Thanks so much, Keto. All right, so then we'll move back up to C1, and we'll hear a tree appeal for 1101 East Hunter Street.
Board of Park Commissioners, Haskell Smith, Urban Forester. We have a tree appeal for a calorie pear tree located at 1101 East Hunter. The tree in question is a calorie pear species that was planted in great numbers in the past few decades. In 2022, we began a 15-year program to systematically remove these trees from our parks and streets due to their invasive nature and likelihood to fail during storm and wind events. This tree was chosen for removal along with 18 others for the Hawthorne Weatherstone Greenway project because of efficiency and project scope alignment. This year alone, the city hopes to remove 67 additional calorie pears, and there are other exhibits that I've attached in my report, and Mr. Turk is here.
First, we'll take questions for Haskell from the board, and then we'll have time for public comment. So let's start with questions for Haskell, if there are any.
Yeah, just a couple questions. How did you determine that this is one to be removed?
It just fell into line with the scope of, excuse me, of the engineering project where they were putting bump outs so we could provide more space for a replacement tree.
And just with these pear trees, how are, I know they're invasive and I know they multiply. How do they do that? Is it their root system or is it?
Seeds, by seed.
That drops and grows another one easily
Yep, another one of
somewhere else?
our invasive bird species is known to spread them by sitting on power lines.
Okay, all right. That's all the questions I have.
Israel, any questions?
We're on C1.
Yeah, C1, we had to back that
Yeah.
up. Okay. Okay, so then I think we can enter into public comment period. So if anyone would like to make public comment, just feel free to approach the podium. You'll sign in with your name, and then you'll have 2 minutes to make, is there a pen? And then you'll have 2 minutes to make a comment.
Yes, hello, thank you. Thank you for responding to the appeal. So the reason why I submitted it is that on that side of Hawthorne, between Atwater and Hunter, there's no other tree, shade tree. I think they are important for ecological reasons, and there are so many in the city. For example, on Indiana and 3rd, on North Park, there are hundreds of them, so that it makes absolutely no sense against their invasiveness to simply cut down 1 or even 17. I've seen others cut down, for example, between the tennis court and Woodlawn. They have not been replaced by any other tree. So it's simply on that side of the tennis court between Woodlawn, there's just nothing, where there were 3 grown shade trees before. And so I think it's just for ecological reasons that they are very important to stay. They're also quite beautiful. That's why they were planted, I think, beginning 30 years ago, all over American cities. There are whole parts of woods, if you drive towards Indianapolis, that are full of them. So I recognize they're invasive. But to remove 10 or even 17 when you have thousands has no effect. And I asked myself in that specific case why it was necessary to place a speed bump there. In fact, as I understand it, between Atwater and 2nd Street, there are only 2 speed bumps, and there are so few trees, there's really no need to place one right where the construction would hurt the trees of a route and potentially damage it. So that's where I come from. You know, it's beautiful for the public. It's a shade tree that's, even if invasive, valuable for the ecosystem. And I just don't see a reason why the speed bump has to be right next to it, and why it would help against the invasiveness to remove even 17 of thousands that are in Bloomington. So if you were to replace it with a large tree, a grown tree, and I know that's very expensive, I'd be happy. But the many small ones that are planted, for cost reasons, you know, half of them don't survive. It takes 10, 20 years for them to be large enough to be serious shade trees. Yeah, so that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay.
Haskell, is there a plan to replace the trees?
Yes.
What would it be replaced with?
I believe this one is scheduled for a black gum.
A what?
Yes, a black gum tree.
Oh, black, okay. And how big would those usually be?
This specific cultivar that I requested is, I believe, an afterburner, and it would get about 35 to 40 feet tall and 20 feet wide.
The replacement tree?
Eventually, yes.
Oh, eventually.
Not when it's planted.
When you plant
Planted,
it,
it'll
I was
be
gonna say.
likely a 2-inch caliper, probably 10 feet tall.
Okay, okay.
And can you tell us a little bit more about sort of the strategy against invasive species, sort of the general, what best practices are when we're, when we're making those efforts? It's kind of one of those things that it's laying bricks, right? And so, it's not maybe something we see in our lifetime even, but, just maybe tell us a little bit about that.
It's a process. That's why it's 15 years long. I recognize the importance of the canopy of these trees. They do still serve a benefit, but their invasive nature and their, detractors outweigh their benefit. And that's why it's 15 years long, so we can stage canopy. But yeah, you can't fix a problem without working towards it, and hopefully the city kind of has to lead by example, in my opinion, anyway. And so that's why we're working towards that goal. Now will everywhere be eradicated of calorie pear eventually? I mean, that's the hope, but there's no promise on private property.
Sure.
These pear trees have white flowers at this time of year, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing how many, just driving on 69 between here and Evansville, I mean, they're just, this time of year, you can really pick them out.
Yep.
And it's amazing how thick they are already, even now, in areas you wouldn't think that they certainly weren't planted there.
Yeah, no. They will grow and thrive in a very short amount of time, and then the
Yeah.
respouts have thorns, so they become even more difficult to control and remove.
Yeah.
I guess it's also my understanding that they split really easily. Is that the case? The
Yeah.
branches, and they have a low, like the root system is not super deep, and so they can kind of like blow over really, or no?
To some extent, yeah. I mean, they'll have some girdled roots just because of how fast they will grow. But they're very notorious for having bark inclusions, so poor branch angles are more likely to split in winds. They're ultimately a fruit wood, pear, and most fruit trees are not storm resilient.
Okay.
Could we see the pictures that we have in the package? I have some questions about the one that is displayed is the one that is planned to be down?
Give us a second.
Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about Exhibit C, Israel. That's the tree. Yeah, that's the actual tree, I believe.
You're saying that it's going to be dangerous because
At some point, sure, but currently the reason for being removal is because it's efficient. We're doing this project, and it aligns with me trying to, our goal to remove these trees. So, two birds at once kind of deal.
the reason is the project, or without the project, that was also the intention to take this down?
Without the project, eventually, yes, but this tree is pretty low on my priority list. But eventually, yes.
Let's see, because I have questions about the previous ones. We could see some like visible reasons for take action, but that's the Exhibit C, right? Yeah, Exhibit C. So I wonder why. So the reason would be more like the work that the city is doing in that place, because there is a new construction or something.
Yes.
That's the reason
Yes.
why, but not other reason that saying that it's dangerous to
It is
maybe
not.
affect a house behind this one. There is there a house behind this?
Yes, there's a, well, I mean, it would be to the right, or yes, to the right's the house. The fence there, and I believe it's a yard. I think the risk on this tree is pretty low currently, but again, it's just project scope alignment between departments.
And for this section of this area, or in other areas for this kind of tree, have we had these trees down because of the wind that you're saying here, or because
Not necessarily in this particular block, but in the area, absolutely. We get calls for calorie repair limb pickups every time the wind blows, I feel like.
Could we see Exhibit D, the following one, or the next picture after this one? The after Exhibit C,
One more.
one more.
I think Exhibit C has two
Two
photos.
pictures, yes.
Or, yeah, or C2. The following one. That one, so there seems that there is a problem with the roots, the ground.
There's currently not much issue. During the construction project, they will be installing a bump out and a speed bump to slow traffic. And there's some thought that the roots may be damaged during the process. I believe we can likely preserve the tree, throughout, but we chose to remove it for project scope alignment.
Go ahead. The basis for the removal is not, is it a safety issue, or is it just that this is an invasive tree and you're in the process of removing, and it just makes sense why you're there to remove it? Is that the basis
To me,
for
it
the
makes
removal?
sense, yes, that is the basis.
It's not a
of it.
danger issue, at least at this point in time? like
Not at this point in time.
Sometimes we've heard appeals on the danger issue.
Yeah, no, I don't, I think the risk or hazard level on this tree is fairly low.
Very low. In, how many other trees are you removing as part of this project?
I think it's right at 20,
Okay.
22, something like that, and the vast majority of them are calorie
Our
pair.
calorie, yeah.
It's
22.
20 or 22, I think is the total number, 18 calorie pair,
Okay.
along the Weatherstone Hawthorne Greenway project route.
Do you know if this is a tree that was planted by the city or someone? Or is
Yes.
this, okay. The city planted this one?
I would
probably?
assume so, yes.
Okay.
We planted the vast majority of them.
Do we happen to have the number of year, like when this happened?
As far back as I could find, it was there in 2007. And that's Google Street View, so it has been there for many years. But I think we did the majority of calorie pear plantings between about 1986 and 2000. They were a very popular tree for a long time.
Oh, yeah, they line a lot of neighborhoods.
And there are even many along the Beeline Trail, aren't there? Is that right, or
There
no?
was. There was.
They've been
by the-
taken out?
Yes, those have been removed.
So
Good.
among those 22, can we say that the ones at the bottom of this picture or next to them they are going to be also,
Eventually, not at this time.
what's that?
Eventually, so there are other calorie pears along there, and eventually they will be removed, but not necessarily at this time.
So it could be this picture, it could have been another picture regarding the removal.
I'm
This
sorry, I
is
think I
like the
misunderstood the
example of the
question.
removal that we are
This
going-
is the tree in question.
Yeah. I think there are 22 total being removed. This is the only specific tree that has received an appeal to not be removed. Correct?
That is my understanding.
Okay. Other questions?
Not for me. Israel?
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we deny the appeal on the on the pear tree that's been requested at 1101 East Hunter Street. My reasoning for that is that it is an invasive tree, that work's being done in that area. I appreciate the time and the issues brought up by the appealing party, but it's my opinion, and I would move that we deny that appeal and allow the removal of that tree to move forward.
So in this case, since in this one I won second, so how should we?
You
proceed?
Chair can second.
I can second that. I'll second that, and I would echo Jim's same thoughts there, and also appreciate citizens coming forward with these concerns, but as it would just be slated to be removed down the road, and the sooner we can plant native species there to begin its growth, the better. So I'll second that motion. So then we will take a roll call vote. Oh, yeah, sure, we can have discussion before a vote.
So in this part of the voting, could we have a question to the person who appealed, or it's just voting?
I think that we can,
We can have discussion.
have further discussion.
So after.
Yeah.
after
Before the
voting?
vote.
Before the
right?
vote,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I have a question regarding, so do you know about the work that the city was doing around?
Yeah, and do you mind, if you want to respond at all, just come back to the podium as part of the recording process.
Yes,
Thank you.
about
So,
which work?
Yeah, so the reason, as I understood, is that is because of a project that is going on this area. And there are about 22 trees that are going to be taken down, right? This is the only appeal that we have regarding the area. So my question is, if besides I see the notification on the tree, but besides that, do you know about the reason behind this with the activity,
Yes.
the project that is underway?
Yes, I do. I mean, I would not have appealed if I had seen trees being replaced quickly in parts of the city I care about. So in other words, if someone would tell me it's there in the fall and it's not this large and will be eaten by deer or dry up, I would not have appealed. I know about the work, but that's a different issue. I learned from the mayor's email, I think a few days ago, that other trees will be removed. She doesn't mention which ones, so what types of trees they are, but I mean, that's another issue. I would say that the project is nonsensical. It should have been woodlawn if you want to really slow down traffic and create a bikeable connection between Highland and Atwater. I think it's the strength of politicians to withdraw from action that has been carried out poorly and that it's a bad decision. But that's a different issue. I think with this one, really, I mean, it's decades old. It's really beautiful right now. It blooms, you know, their whole, and I walk this area regularly. I live close by. That's why I see it, you know, and I can see on Indiana and 3rd that there are 30 of them. They're all beautiful. And so I think, you know, you can place the speed bump 2 feet further down, you leave the tree in place, and then when you remove them really all, because there are others of the same type in the street that don't have a removal notice, then you could really, you know, remove them and replant. So it's not at all, you know, my resistance to it is not motivated an absolute resistance. I just think shade trees are really valuable. Yeah, and if it was replaced quickly, it would be fine. And I think the construction issue is a different issue, and I do think that, yeah, that's too late, but I think it's a mistake, actually, to not choose woodlawn to slow down traffic and to create speed bumps.
That's
So.
outside our bailiwick.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Or
that goes to
fortunately.
the, well, yes, fortunately, that goes to the planning and transportation
Haskell,
engineering.
when would that tree be replaced, do you think?
Yeah, that's the question.
Within projects, and I can't tell you for sure, but it should absolutely be replaced by the end of the project.
So the concern is the replacement, right? The replacement of the tree.
Yeah, I think there was one much happier.
Okay.
If I could just add, saying, yeah, obviously the project itself is outside of our scope. You know, Hawthorne, Weatherstone, Greenway, that's been determined in other channels. You know, the concern here is it's in our strategic plan to eliminate calorie pairs, and we've come up with a 15-year plan. So we need to take every opportunity to take them out, especially when a construction impact along here, regardless of a specific placement of a speed hump or bump out or whatever it might be. If it starts to degrade the roots, we might have to revisit this one sooner rather than later to take it out anyway, because once you damage the roots, the tree starts to degrade. So it's certainly convenience, and I appreciate the appeal and the comments that we want to replace trees. We are all about that. I think we planted, 800 something last year with more to come this year. I know the ones at Woodlawn were taken out because they were calorie pairs, and there was a water line issue there that has prevented us from expediently replacing those. So that is something we can look at as well. But we do know with this project that the project scope includes replacement of this tree as part of the project with, you said, a black oak? Black gum, excuse me, black gum, so, yep.
And can you mentioned the strategic plan there, the number of calorie pairs that you want to remove and developing that 15-year plan. Can you also kind of speak to what's in the strategic plan about tree planting and new plantings? Is that part of that's?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
absolutely hope to replace all of them. Sometimes it's kind of a delayed removed in spring, and it might not be till next spring before they get replanted, but we do try to replant them as soon as we can.
And Ellen, that's a big part of where the bicentennial bond for street tree planting came from, originally in 2018 as well, as along with the city's climate action plan that actually calls for an increase in the city's urban canopy coverage. And that's something Haskell looks at a lot with mapping and equity as we prepare our next and final round of the bicentennial planting. It's a challenge sometimes to find places on public right-of-way that we can fit trees in. And that's what Haskell spends a lot of time doing, is looking at and evaluating those sites wherever we can get trees in. We want to do that because of the vast benefits that are known for having street trees, both ecologically and human-oriented.
Okay, well, are there any other questions or comments?
I don't believe so.
Okay, that sounds good. So then we have a motion that was seconded, and that is to deny the tree appeal for 1101 East Hunter Street. So we will take a vote on that.
Ellen Rodkey,
Aye.
Israel Herrera, Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you again for your participation, and Haskell, thank you for all the background information there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to section C3. Scott will join us to talk about garage doors, or a door.
Yes. Plural, doors.
Doors.
Scott Peterson, Youth Sports Coordinator. We are recommending that Tommy D's Windows, Doors, and More to replace the garage doors on the Winslow Maintenance Garage. It'll cost about $6,500. Through years of attempted vandalism and theft, there's significant damage, visible damage, and we just need to replace that so we can protect our equipment and our supplies.
All right, questions?
Right, I was reading that the reason is also because there have been thefts and also vandalism.
There's been attempted over the years.
So that's for, like we can assume that with the purpose of stealing
With the
things,
purpose
or vandalism would be just graffiti or.
They actually tried to pry the doors open, so they're bent really bad. Some of the tracks don't work. There's 4 doors to answer your question, but if you go to Winslow Garage, it's now fenced in, something that didn't fix the doors, but it fixed a lot of keeping the people out. So we're just here to fix the doors when the fence wasn't there, but they tried to pry it open and bend the doors open.
So during this mentioning of during years, there have been attempted vandalism and theft. So there have, we have had this, but not accomplished, right?
Correct.
And the reason is to keep it that way with the new.
Correct, yeah.
Oh.
And we just purchased a new mower. If you remember last month, you guys approved it. So we have some pretty expensive equipment and supplies in there that we want to protect. Yeah.
Other questions? Okay, we'll take a
Move to
motion.
approve the contract with Tommy D Windows, Doors, and More for garage door replacement at Winslow Sports Park.
Second.
All right, and a roll call vote.
Ellen Rodkey,
Aye.
Israel Herrera,
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Scott. All right, Amy, first meeting, and you're at the podium.
Hello again. I am recommending an approval of the contract with Harrellfish Inc., HFI, to demolish the existing split systems and install a new split system and duct adaptations to sufficiently support the switchyard maintenance building at an amount not to exceed $11,917. The existing systems are very old and not functioning properly, so by replacing these, the city should see cost savings and decrease harmful environments from operating an old, outdated, inefficient system.
All right. Well, I'll just ask a question. I guess, and maybe, I don't know if you'll know this, but Was the switchyard maintenance building there prior to the park being built? Okay, so that's why. I was just,
Doesn't seem very old.
yeah, it doesn't seem very old. It says, you know,
know
that they're
how old
old
this
and not
unit-
functioning, and so
How
I
old
thought,
this
well,
unit is?
that park.
Do you know how?
How old the system is?
Yeah, the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 1990s.
Oh,
really?
okay, so you've had that.
You talking about how old the compressor is that we want to replace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's ancient.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It's just because it's in Switchyard, I wasn't thinking, that's
It
not a
was
very
never
old park,
changed when the city
so-
took over the building. It's
Gotcha.
original to
Oh, I
the,
see.
the
Got
building
it.
when it was a printing press or whatever business was in there, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, other questions? All right.
All right. Despite our policy of denying the first person's request, I'm going to recommend that we approve the contract with HFI for Switch Park Maintenance Building HVAC replacement.
Second.
All right, and a roll call vote.
Ellen Rodkey.
Aye.
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you so much, Amy. All right, Sean is joining us for more HFI with Switchyard Park.
Staff would like to recommend approval of a contract with Harold Fish Incorporated for preventative maintenance at Switchyard Park with a do not exceed amount of $12,703. Funding sources out of the general fund for Switchyard Park. The first preventative maintenance plan for Switchyard Park was done in 2022. Harold Fish won that bid. This time there were three. At the time there were only two, but this year there were three different contractors who quoted the job. Harold Fish was the lowest contractor. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Questions?
All right, I move for approval of the contract with HFI for Switchyard Park preventive maintenance.
Second.
All right, we'll take a vote.
Ellen Rodkey.
Aye.
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll see Haskell a little bit longer.
Staff recommends the approval of a contract with Bluestone Tree LLC to facilitate better usage of our current green waste facility, and a contract not to exceed $11,200. Last year, we contracted the tub grinding of all the woody material that had built up there for the past 13 years, I want to say. And in that process, it left a lot of broken down material that we can't utilize the now uncovered area. We've had sanitation trucks stuck and other various equipment. Hope to get all that cleaned out and lay some gravel down so we can continue using our green waste facility to its best usage.
Questions?
Move to approve the contract with Bluestone for tree nursery improvements.
All right, we'll take a roll call vote.
Ellen Rodkey.
Aye.
Israel Herrera. Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes, and then Haskell, stay with us for a contract with Moorens.
Yes, this is the 2024 Powerline Tree Planting Contract, one I've spent a lot of time poring over and putting together. Recommend the approval of this contract with Moorens Landscaping, who's joined me here today, for the installation of 157 trees along streets affected by the reliability project. Amount not to exceed $54,295, and this will come from the money that Duke supplied us to remove the trees. I believe they gave us about $55,000. Yeah, happy to answer any questions about this project.
120 streets that, or trees, not streets, that were removed, and then you're planting 157 new trees. And is the 20%, is that our standard?
1 to 1.2,
replanting?
yeah, that's generally what we strive to do.
Great, any questions, or?
So Duke Energy will be paying or will be giving 55?
They have already,
And then there is a request for 54 from the city, right, or no? The
This
amount
was-
not to exceed is the amount given by Duke or besides the amount?
It was by the contractor. We went through a bid process or a request for quote process, and
So
they were the selected
The
vendor.
money will come from,
And the money comes from that donation from Duke
The
Energy.
Duke money will be enough to cover
Yeah,
it.
to
Yes.
cover all of that. Since Morens is joining us, is there anything you all wanted to add? Totally fine if not.
Do you guys
Just wanted to
have
give you the
anything to say?
opportunity. Okay. Okay, great. All right.
All right, move for approval of contract with Moran's Landscaping for 2024 Powered Line Tree Planting Project.
second?
All right, and we'll take a roll call vote. Aye.
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thanks, Haskell.
Thank you.
All right, and then last up in our other business section, we'll have Leslie tell us about some new or updated park policies.
Yes, hello, Leslie Brinson, General Manager of Recreation Services. Staff's here to recommend approval of some updates made to 6 different policies. I believe the policies will need to be voted on separately, so I will highlight the changes of each, correct? Yep. Okay. As a reminder, the Parks and Recreation Department does maintain a policy manual that guides the procedures and processes for the department. Along with our accreditation process, we review the policy manual on a regular basis. These updates typically happen within that regular review. The first one is to Policy 1070, which is the history of the department. This has been updated to include Tim Street as our new Parks Director and Carrie Thompson as the mayor. So this policy just highlights all of the people that have been in the mayor or have led our department or have been part of the park board. So this is just an update with new staff.
Okay, great. So since we have to do these separately, we'll just walk through them one by one. Any questions about that?
No, do we want to make a motion for this one now? Is that?
Yeah, we'll
All
have to
right.
do it for each one.
Move to approve the amendments to Park Policy Number 1070.
So when you mean one by one, would be
We'll
Yeah.
have to take a motion.
We'll vote each one
second,
separately.
Vote, and then, move on.
second.
All right, so we'll take a roll call vote. Aye.
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 All right, motion passes.
Great. The next policy is Policy 7140, which is a cash handling procedure and deposits. This policy has been updated to include Switchyard Park as a facility that does, in fact, collect cash. It was not on the past policy, and so as I review them, noticed that it needed to be added.
Move to approve Park Policy Number 7140.
Second.
All right, we'll take a vote. Aye.
Israel Herrera. Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Great. Policy 9050 is procedure for scholarships. This has been updated to reflect the new procedure and criteria for those applying for a program scholarship. The changes include the proof of income requirements, the percentage of payment requirement, and the limit per child per calendar year. These updates were discussed and approved by the Parks Foundation since they are the one that supplies these scholarships. The form had been and the process has been updated for a little while, so this policy is just now reflecting what we're actually doing.
Yeah, and I think we heard about that as well. Kim presented on that as well.
Yeah, and I was at the Park Foundation meeting where they approved that. So I move to approve the amendment to Policy 9050.
Second.
Vote? Aye.
Israel Herrera. Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Great. Policy 11080 is our behavior guidelines. This policy has been updated to reflect the guidelines used to determine sanctions for major violations within the parks. This update provided consistency between our parks ascension policy and the behavior policy to say that we reflect a max suspension of 1 year. One policy had lifetime and one policy had 1 year, so this is just making those policies consistent.
To update or approve the amendments to Policy 11080.
Second.
And a roll call vote? Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Okay, policy 11120 was a policy concerning the Kid City payment plan. However, we no longer offer a Kid City payment plan, so we are just dissolving this particular policy because it's no longer in place.
Move to approve the elimination of the policy 11120.
Second.
And a roll call vote.
Ellen Rodkey.
Aye.
Herrera. Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Last one.
Last one, policy 13040, park and facility access and scheduling. It's been updated to reflect that MCCSC no longer has a priority level because we no longer have a partnership with them to that extent that it was in the past. So this is just removing them from a priority level. They still have access to scheduling, but they no longer remain on the list of priorities.
Can I ask about the level designation? So we don't have a level designation anymore?
Correct, so the levels are like Parks Departments gets first priority, like other parks areas gets first, and then people we are, city departments, and then people we are affiliated with, so have partnership agreements. Those tend to get priority when scheduling facilities. We used to do that with MCCSC, but over the course of time, their needs have changed and our needs have changed. So we no longer share facilities as we used to when we were doing basketball and different sports programs in their facilities and they were using ours. There just isn't that need anymore, so that partnership just isn't in place anymore due to that. And so it's just removing them. It's more of an admin clerical.
Move to approve the removals suggested to policy 13040.
Second.
All right, and a roll call vote.
Ellen Rodkey.
Aye.
Israel Herrera. Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Before you leave, let me ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
On these policies that we have, where are they located and how easy are for the general public to find those?
Well, that is an interesting question, Jim. Currently, they are not anywhere located for the public to find.
Because I tried to find them a little while ago on something and I couldn't find them anywhere.
I am currently working on an external policy manual. A lot of the policies are very much internal, so they
Right.
aren't have anything to do with what the public would need to see. But there is a handful, maybe 10 to 15 policies, behavior, rules in parks, things of those sorts that we really should have on our website and accessible. So I am currently working on with legal to determine which one of those are, and then they should be up on our website in the near future for staff.
Yeah, to the extent we're expecting people to abide by a behavior policy that they don't know what it is, that seems something we need to do. So I applaud that, and I'm glad you're doing that, and even thinking of other ways to make them available to people where they could see them at the parks, or maybe even have a QR code on a sign or something that the information could be found quickly and easily,
Sure,
something like that.
There would be very few that would be general enough that you would want to access them for every park. You know, a lot of them are very specific, so Switchyard Park has its own set of rules, so a park's policy doesn't, they're not always blanket, if you will, but there are certainly some that people need to know.
I'm particularly interested in the behavior one.
Exactly, that one.
I think that ought to be we ought to have a behavior placard in every park if we can streamline that policy or something so people know what the behavior our expectations are regarding behavior.
Yeah, and there definitely are at facilities, like if you walk into Winslow Sports Park or Twin Lakes Sports Parks, those
Right,
have
or
rules,
Twin
but not on
Lakes.
but not on a general park setting.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you very much.
That's to come.
All right, thanks so much, Leslie. All right, well, that concludes our business, so we'll move into D, our reports. And I don't see Rebecca, but I think we must have a member of EROC here to present.
I'm the Natural Resources Manager. I'm standing in for Rebecca Swift today. She's at a workshop, couldn't be here. She's the Natural Resources Coordinator, and she works more closely with ERAC. We're very fortunate today. The Chair of ERAC, Denise Gardner, is here to give the annual report. And ERAC is one of several advisory councils that advises staff and the board. And in this case, ERAC recommends natural resources management techniques and ideas. So Denise, if you wouldn't mind coming up, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Denise Gardner, and I am currently chairing the Environmental Resources Advisory Commission. And we meet every other month, this citizen group, and I believe Rebecca and Steve already provided you with like this 5-page written report and asked me to just go over some highlights, and those are going to be the slides. It's coming. So in 2023, the main topics we talked about were construction projects, long-term restoration projects, the bicentennial bond tree planting project, Phase 2, management plan updates, the Griffey Lake Nature Preserve deer management, trail improvements, and education and outreach. We spent a lot of time talking about the different construction projects. I think the first slide is a nice picture of the goat farm, now known as the Rogers family park property, which was a wonderful project. We were invited to the opening of it. We spent a lot of time talking about the native prairie restoration, the trees that have been planted there, permeable pavers, and the parking area. And it is a wonderful area to view. Spent a lot of time talking about Griffey Lake and the trail improvements there. I've been out hiking there many times since then, being able to go over the dam and the new half-mile on the south side. It's a wonderful new asset. And restoration, there's a great slide showing
I apologize, I'm so sorry.
The slide is about the prescribed burn that has been done at Griffey Lake property and how that is restoring native plant growth. The tree planting project we've already heard about a little bit today. And the urban forester attended several of the meetings to give us updates on tree installations and to discuss the ongoing calorie pair removal work.
We got it. You want to do a quick scroll through recap?
Quick scroll. Go. Yeah. Go ahead. Griffey Lake, the tree burn project. This is the trees. And that slide is from the Miller Showers Park, right? At the entry to town. We did talk quite a bit about some of the controversy over the art installation that was subsequently resolved, but some of that discussion revolved around environmental impact of the different designs. And the city group did a great job of explaining that to us and helping explain that to citizens too. And also the kind of plantings we have there and the trees that are going to be taken out and put in we are in great support of. So what's the next slide? This is part of the Griffey Lake Trail project. Go ahead. And the management plan. Again, on the trail. We talked quite a bit about the deer management plan. It was a regular topic, even though Bloomington Parks and Recreation Department didn't receive funding from IDNR's hunting project this year. With support of the park board and ERAC, they went ahead and hired white buffalo and planned and facilitated a hunt over 2 weekends. It was a successful hunt, and we talk a lot at the committee about how the community reacts to those hunts, the importance of that work, the importance of the hunters' engagement with the park project, and so we're very pleased to see that working. Angie Shelton is part of our group, and so she is a great expert on that topic. Next was trail improvements, the Griffey Lake Trail that we already discussed. Jackson Tree Trail Extension was another one we worked on, and also the enhancements to the Beeline Trail with yellow painted lines and LED lights. And finally, I think it's education and outreach. We talk about that at every meeting. It is a great joy for the people on that committee to engage in the educational members in the educational outreach efforts. So some of the projects are Nature Days, the Roving Naturalist Program, Adopt a Stream, Green Space, Trail Volunteers, after-school nature club programs, and some of the large community events such as Bug Fest and Get Outdoors Days. So we really enjoy that work too. And I think, is that the end of the slide? Oh, and this example was some of the signage that was replaced this year down at RCA Park on the south side. The ERAC community, the ERAC members were invited to review these signs in draft form and provide feedback to the staff. So, and I'd really like to thank Steve, Rebecca, Tim, Joanna, Haskell. They come to all these meetings, and they're really great about answering all of our questions and giving us really good information, sending us reports for us to read. So I really enjoy the work.
Definitely takes people who are interested in those topics to contribute to that discussion, and all the expertise that the whole group brings and helps provide with us, or just collaborate with the staff on. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I think last up we have a report from Darren on turf.
Good afternoon, Darren Eads, Sports Facility Coordinator with the Twin Lakes Rec Center. If you remember back in August, this board approved a contract with BSN Sports to replace the synthetic turf. And we have some slides. You saw the slides originally, what the turf looked like. We had many patches and repairs done. That turf was successfully replaced over the Christmas break, and it was completed on January 7th. A few little hiccups that we caught on the punch list that we walked through, and hats off to BSN for having the contractor in and got it all into the shape that we wanted it. I tell you, it's just been amazing, the difference. You know, we went from the rubber infill to the EnviroFill, which is a silica sand, and just so much cleaner. You would just not tracking like it used to be. We hear from members all the time that said they're out there running, they get all sweaty, they fall down on that, they're standing up covered in green and the little rubber infill. Now they don't. You can roll around on it, and you're not carrying it all home with you as it used to. But there's the comparison. There was some pictures of the old turf. As we said, we had some pretty major repairs, some breaks in the turf. We had repaired it. We're probably 2 years past repair or replacement, and we just kept patching it together as much as we could. But we wanted to come for you and just show you. There's what it looked like. Of course, the first time we did this, I remember back in 2009 when we did it, everybody thought we were going to put ice in, and we didn't. So they see the big concrete pad. And then swimming pools. Oh, you can put a pool in? We said, no, we're not putting a pool. We're going to put turf back. So anyway, the new turf went in. It's very successful. We're happy. More importantly, the participants are very happy with it. And there is the little beautiful scenery. They were actually out there finishing up. We had people, and the next photo will show the kids out on the turf with literally they're still loading their equipment whenever the kids hit the turf. And they were that excited to get out there on it. So just wanted to come and share that. I know it was a big project, an expensive project, and wanted to come and share the details with you. So thank you. Yep.
Darren, it looks good.
What's the expected life of this?
10 to 15, it just depends. I mean, we hope to be able to work with a maintenance company to have them come in at least once a year and keep it really well maintained. They did actually were able to share with us a little bit more, and a lot of people have one of the common things used on it, which we didn't know, is something a lot of you may have in your house, is the lawn sweep that you drag behind a lawnmower. And they said you'd be surprised what that does, and it has really helped us as a kind of a cheap piece of equipment to maintain the turf with. We drag it behind our golf cart, but it's still worth maybe having them come back at least once a year, and they actually they basically suck everything out of there, that debris and stuff that's in there, and then they just replace it, sanitize it and stuff like that. So I think that's the important thing, is keeping it maintained. But we got almost 15 years out of the last one, so somebody else may be standing here 15 years from now. You guys may be there, but no offense. I hope I'm not standing right here. But so yeah. So yep. Thanks.
Oh, thank you so much, Darren. All right. Any other questions, comments? Tim, any closing remarks?
Sure. Got a few
things I can share. Number one, thank you to Denise and the members of ERAC for all the time spent and the guidance you give us. We really appreciate the time they spend. They have a really diverse set of experience and expertise and are able to advise us on all kinds of really interesting and great topics. Of course, I also just want to comment that we joined the community in mourning the passing of Peter Lopalato, and just want to recognize the contributions that he has given to the community and the Parks Department over many years through the film series, through Films in Bryan Park, and of course, his loss hits home personally for many of us as well. It's the end of March. It's seasonal staff training time. We had that today. Seasonal staff are back. We're in the process of opening restrooms and turning on water fountains over the next few weeks in the hopes that everything will be ready by a certain big event that's happening near the start of April, which is my next item. The department has a lot of great Eclipse events planned. I encourage anyone to go to, if you just Google Bloomington Parks Eclipse, it'll take you right to our website that shows you the 4-day lineup of events that we have planned. There's some Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon in there. There's some golf events, there's some trivia events, there's food trucks, there's a lot of great stuff coming. So, and then lastly, I'll just say the Bryan Park Playground is gone, the 5 to 12 playground, and we expect the new equipment to arrive later this week and begin to be installed as soon as next week. So it'll be fun to watch that go up over the course of April. I think those are all the announcements I had.
So much.
Board meeting would be,
Oh yeah, next board meeting is April 26th. Is that right?
Next park board meeting is April 23rd, Tuesday, April 23rd at 4 p.m. right here.
All right. Well, we will adjourn the March meeting of Bloomington Board of Park Commissioners. Thank you so much.